I'm really excited about this call. Thank you guys for hopping on live, spending some time with me this Tuesday. I feel like I miss you. We didn't get to have our call last week, so I'm really excited about this. I really want to have kind of a series where we're focusing on Success Club until Success Club is a routine thing that happens for all of you guys on a consistent basis, because I really do firmly believe that it's the backbone of your business, and it's kind of the first thing you need to master as a coach who wants to produce an income. So rank is important, all the kind of stuff on top is important, but the backbone of all of that comes from Success Club, which, as a reminder, or for anyone watching the recording, is 3 new customers each month via a challenge pack or Shakeology HD. So if you can get that to be kind of second nature, your business is going to take off from there. Rank will follow, your income will follow, all of that is going to follow. So I want to kind of get into that a little bit, but mainly what I want to talk about is the idea of rejection, not objections or how to handle objections. That's a separate topic, but the idea and the fear of rejection that comes with really any business, because it's not just coaching that you're going to be faced with rejection. It comes in many forms. It can come in the form of a family or friend not really being on board with you wanting to change your healthy habits. Some people fear kind of being left behind, which is why we tend to get a lot of pushback from those that are close to us when we're trying to make a change. Rejection can come outside of the Beachbody world and in your corporate world, wherever you work, whether it's applying for a job or looking for a promotion, asking for a raise, working with a team in any work environment. Rejection is kind of something that is really human and we deal with all the time. But with our business as coaches, I found that when I have one-on-ones with many of you, or with new coaches who are coming in, or with people who are interested in coaching but not yet ready to kind of take the leap to do that, the biggest fear is of that rejection. Not necessarily even someone saying no to an invite, but somebody being against Beachbody or against how coaching works or just against this business in general. And that fear, and this kind of sounds like a little woo-woo, but this stuff is so true. That fear that you have, if it's instilled in the back of your mind that you really hate the idea of rejection, or you have this fear of rejection, it comes out in your energy. It comes out in how you're talking to people. It comes out in how you're displaying yourself on social media. And that impacts the results that you get as a coach. So I really recommend that you guys get this book, Rejection Proof, for your next PD book if you haven't read it yet. I just finished it today. It is so good. So first of all, not only does it talk about the idea of rejection and kind of how it messes with our brain and why it's instilled in every human, that fear of rejection is a very, very normal thing, but he tells a story in this, so you don't just feel like you're reading facts in science. You're listening to his progression on how he learned how to cope and overcome the fear of rejection and then actually use it to its advantage. So highly recommend getting this book. I got it on Amazon, I don't know, for like $8 or something like that. But what I want to do right now is just go over a couple things that stood out towards the end of it for me, because they're kind of like duh things. But a lot of those things we don't think about until we hear them. So, let's see. Okay. As we grow older and wise up, we learn that we can't always get what we want and that sometimes we need to be judicious in making requests. And sure, constantly asking for $100 from a friend might not be a good idea and you might quickly run out of friends. However, we let the pendulum of requests swing too far in the direction of not asking for what we want at all due to fear of rejection. We stop making requests to the detriment of our dreams, aspirations, and relationships. We start to get overly timid and careful, and we tell ourselves stories about how we shouldn't bother people, how we would get rejected anyway, and how we will someday ask when the timing is right, even though the right timing never comes. We tell ourselves all these lies because of one thing. We want to avoid rejection. So what he's talking about in this case is obviously if you go and you ask someone the same question in the same way and you keep getting the same answer no, that's not going to get you anywhere. But say I ask Vanessa if she wants to join my challenge group and she says no, but Leah's over here dying for something to help her get her health on track or for some extra accountability. But Vanessa's no made me assume that every person after I spoke to would also say no. So I never reach out to Leah in the first place. Meanwhile, here's Leah ready to not only join the challenge group, but also wants to coach and also has 4 friends that want to coach with her who also, like, you could just be getting one no from someone and assuming that every other response is going to be the same. And just because of that, you're either A, not reaching out to that next person, or B, you're going into that next conversation with the assumption that they're going to say no. And whether you realize it or not, that mindset comes out in your words. It comes out in how you ask the question and how you're inviting. So it's really important to kind of get a grasp of your fear or the level of fear that you have around rejection. And then rather than fearing it, look for the positives in it. And that's what we're going to talk about next, because it actually teaches you a lot of stuff. So let me flip to this page. If I can find it. Okay. So I really loved this part where he just talks about all the perks of rejection. So 1, rejection is human, which is what we kind of just talked about. Neither rejection nor acceptance is the objective truth about the merit of an idea or a product. So one, it's an opinion, right? That's the next step anyway. Rejection is an opinion. Somebody could say, ugh, no, Energize sucks and will never help me have better energy for my workout. But you've tried it and it helps you have energy for your workout. So is because they don't think that that's true, make it not true for you? No. Just like it doesn't make it true for someone else who hasn't tried it yet. So rejection is never, ever, ever personal. It's always about that person who's making the rejection and not about the person who's asking. So it's just like saying, hey, do you like this sweater? If you hate the color purple, the answer is probably no. But I love this sweater, and someone who likes the color purple might really love it. So just because someone has an opinion that's different than yours doesn't make that opinion fact. And that's exactly what rejection is. It's an opinion. So if you're going to let someone's opinion on a product that you clearly love because you're here as a coach to help other people get plugged into that product, if you're going to let their opinion / rejection impact that, you will never go anywhere as a coach, because you will meet people who don't have any interest in Beachbody, or maybe they've already got a fitness routine that's perfect for them, or maybe they're a trainer who works with other trainers and they don't have a problem with their fitness or nutrition and it's just not for them. That doesn't mean that it's not for somebody else. Does that make sense? Okay, rejection has a number. So this is kind of what we just talked about with my example of Vanessa and Leah. So just because one person says no or rejects an idea or rejects an invite, odds are there's somebody out there that's going to say yes. And the reason I can say that with confidence is because Beachbody is not a new company. Beachbody is $1 billion company that grows significantly every single year. And it doesn't mean you have to be a coach that signed up at a certain time. There are coaches who signed up 7 years ago who aren't making any money. And there are coaches who signed up this year who are ranking towards the top of the company. So it's not about your timing. It's not about it being saturated or 1 or 2 or even 1,000 people saying no. It's about making sure that you're reaching out to the people who do need this and who are interested. And then this next one is a tip. Ask why before goodbye. He gets really into this in the book, but I'm going to break it down pretty simply. When somebody says no, rather than just saying, okay, thanks, and like leaving it at that, ask why. Whether you're asking, okay, is it because you're not interested in fitness? Is it price related? Is it because you don't think you and I are a good fit? That feedback, they might not turn around and say, you know what? Yes, I do want to do that. But that feedback could be really valuable to you, the coach, because maybe they didn't like the way that they were approached. Maybe they misread your text, and maybe that means you want to do voice notes instead so people can actually hear you and not have to interpret. I mean, who here hasn't read a text written by somebody else and you added a little bit of attitude to it and they actually didn't mean anything at all by it? Like, people do that all the time. And just because you know your heart and you know your intention doesn't mean that everybody does. So ask why before goodbye, even if it's just to get some feedback. The next one is collaborate and don't contend. So this means if somebody says no, rather than just, again, saying okay or forget it, you ask why, and then maybe talk to them and ask if there was something different that they would have been more interested in. So, okay, they're not interested in your challenge group. Would you be more interested in a one-on-one environment? Is it because you're not interested in social media? Would you be more interested if this was in person? Kind of understanding the different options that are out there, which again, might not make them say yes, but could spark an idea. Maybe there's a lot of people locally by you who would love a fit club. If you don't know what a fit club is, all it means is you get a group of people together and you stream Beachbody on demand. You don't need to be certified. You don't need to be an instructor. You're streaming Beachbody on demand and doing the same thing that you do at home by yourself with a group of people, allowing them to try a workout. So you kind of just, again, you're getting feedback, which can help you get some ideas. This also helps people build trust with you, right? Because you're not just saying, okay, peace out. You're not interested in spending money. I'm not interested in you. You're saying, okay, I really am interested in helping. What is it that I could have offered that you would have been interested in? Does that make sense? Okay. And then switch up, don't give up. I love this one, and it's something we kind of talk about in a different way when it comes to inviting, because there are so many different ways to invite. So if you've tried an inviting method and it's not working for you or you're not getting the results, don't give up and say inviting doesn't work. Switch up your inviting method and try something new. Because here's the thing too, we're all attracting different people on social media. So people who follow me are likely following me for a different reason than they follow Destiny. So you want to make sure that you're not just giving up and saying, well, I tried that and it didn't work. You're just switching up the plan. But I don't want you to say, okay, well, for one day I invited 5 people using that method and it didn't work. I didn't hit Success Club. Tomorrow I'm going to switch it up. That's not enough. So what I like to really challenge you guys is to give it at least a month of being 100% honest to yourself, consistent, meaning at least 5 days a week, you're inviting at least 10 people for that whole month. If it doesn't work by then and you don't hit Success Club that month, okay, next month, switch up your inviting style. But the biggest thing we do is we tend to give up on an idea too soon, and you just haven't given it enough time to work. It would be like doing one T25 workout one day and not waking up with a 6-pack and being like, oh, Sean T's not a good trainer. His programs don't work. You would think someone is crazy if they said that. They did one workout and didn't have a 6-pack, so working out doesn't work. Like, not so much. So you want to at least give it the time and be honest with yourself, because this is the thing that I can't check for you guys. You have to be inviting consistently every single day. For at least a month to know whether or not the way that you're inviting is going to produce results. Sound good? Okay. And then some of the other things that you could use rejection for are actually, like, some people will seek out rejection. I know that one of the stories told in this book was that Michael Jordan was one of those people. He sought out rejection because he used that rejection as motivation to rise above and prove people wrong, prove to people that he could do it. So use rejection as a motivation tool. Pursue this business. This business is hard. It's a really challenging business. But if you use the rejections that you're getting to motivate you to find the people who do need this help, because guys, I'm not exaggerating. There are people that I've worked with as a coach where this has saved them in a few ways. It took my mom off the medication that she was supposed to be on forever. Like, it helps. There are women out there, you'll see them. Those of you coming to Summit, and even those of you who aren't, we'll make sure we get this added to the team page. You're going to see people winning the Beachbody Challenge who have lost hundreds of pounds, who their doctors didn't think that they were going to live because of their health problems. Granted, if you lose weight and you eat healthier, it doesn't have to be through Beachbody. You can save your own life, of course. But for a lot of people, it's the accountability that comes with coaching that made them do that. This is a really valuable opportunity, really valuable products that we offer. Use rejection as an idea of self-improvement. So again, if something's not working, get that feedback from someone who has given you a no, and use that to be better at the next invite. we talk a lot about scripts, right? Like, oh, this is how I'm inviting. This is what I'm saying. This is the email I send. And I'm happy to share all of those. And they're definitely great tools. But the best way to improve your own inviting and your own sharing of information is to just do it constantly. Like for the last 5 years, actually, I'll say 4 years, because I haven't always been working the business. For the last 4 years of coaching, I can't even tell you how many like messages I would almost count as practice now looking back, because I read them and I'm like, oh my God, did I really say that to that person? Like, is that really what I wrote? That is so embarrassing. But the only way you get better is by doing it. So I can give you all the scripts in the world, but they're not going to help you improve your inviting until you kind of stumble your way through it and make those scripts your own, make them your voice, see what works for you. So use every rejection as a way to self-improve and say, okay, well, that one was practice. I got my feedback. It didn't go well. That's cool. I'm going to be better with the next one. And you continue to get better and better and better with every single invite. That's all I have from the book. I mean, I could go on and on about this. I really highly recommend getting it. It was like such a cool story too. It's about this guy who blogs his way through getting 100 rejections, and he asks people for the weirdest stuff, just to kind of help him get over that fear. And I'm not saying you have to do that, but read the book. It's really valuable and amazing. So the reason I wanted to start with that when our topic is Success Club is because Success Club won't happen without a lot of invites. It just won't. So my biggest kind of question for you guys, and you don't have to answer out loud on the call, I just want you to ask yourself and be honest with yourself. Are you inviting consistently every single day? Are you following up with people every single day? Or are you putting up a post and hoping that people reach out to you? Because a post with a call to action, while important, is not enough. You need to also be reaching out to all the people that liked that post, or anybody that watched your story where you're talking about it. But it's got to be more than once a week, twice a week, it has to be at least 5 times a week. And my challenge would be at the very bare minimum to have it be at least 5 new people every single day that you're inviting. So a minimum of 25 people a week that you're inviting. I would be confident that you will hit Success Club, as long as you're fine-tuning, getting that feedback, and making sure that you don't have that fear coming out in your voice. Because there's definitely, even now, like I'll have days where I'm just having a bad day, an off day. I don't feel well. I'm really tired, or I'm not where I thought I would be in terms of the Success Club at that point in the month. And it shows in my invites. They're almost like lazier, and they kind of just feel like going through the motions. There's no real energy in them. That stuff comes out when you're in a negative mood. That stuff comes out into your invites. When you're expecting somebody to say no, they can tell. It just comes out. So when we can use rejection as a motivating tool rather than something to be fearful of, our likelihood of reaching our goals is so much higher. I wanted to have this call about rejection and inviting because we're in the midst of a really awesome launch. Honestly, even if we didn't see any of the other pilot group results, I would just use Natasha. Natasha Pearson is on Shred Nation. I would just use her results to go balls to the wall inviting to this program. She lost 40 pounds and 34 inches using Morning Meltdown 100, Shakeology, and Performance Line. That is unbelievable. 100 days, like, yes, it's a lot of workout, but it's actually not that much time. It's just over 3 months. So that's a lot of progress. But we don't just have Natasha's results, right? We have so many other results. They're in the team page. They are in that Google file, Google Drive, whatever I shared in the team page, along with their stories, which is amazing. And they're in our test group. So this program is massive, and I want you all to hit Success Club inviting to this test group, because I think it's going to be kind of really game-changing for Beachbody as a whole, honestly. The excitement is pretty crazy. The coach sales alone have been nuts, and it hasn't even been opened up to customers yet. So I want you to start your momentum now. Start your inviting streak now, because you'll be able to start your kind of momentum growth, get the ball rolling with your Success Club streak with this program, the more people that you get plugged into a program, so Success Club, right? The more times you hit Success Club, the more results you then have in your arsenal to share of what you, a coach, are helping people to achieve. That's the other reason Success Club is so important. It's not only like, a business incentive or whatever. That's kind of the icing on the cake. Success Club is important because it's proof that you, the coach, are getting people results. You're helping people get plugged in. You're helping people make a healthy change. So it's the main focus I want you guys to have, even though I know you have rank goals and income goals. Like I said, the foundation of all of that is Success Club. None of it comes without that. And so I want our team to be known as this team who consistently hits it and hits it and hits it and breeds a culture of hitting Success Club, AKA getting people results. Even if just those of us on this call, and I know there are several people who need to watch the recording too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 of us. If just the 5 of us on this call hit Success Club 6 this month, that's 15 people this month that are getting plugged in to a healthy change. 15 people. That's a lot. Imagine if we all do that every single month at a minimum. 15 people a month as a team at a minimum is such a massive thing to think about. And I want you to have that kind of planted in your head too. Like we get stressed, right, about the numbers. We want to hit the number. We want to win the prize. We want to do this. We want to do that. We want to earn the trip. That stuff is so awesome, and I want you to be motivated by that. But if you think about it in terms of people and lives changed, that's why we talk about that on the leaderboard every week. Every Success Club point is a person. And that's a really big deal. So if you can go into it thinking about that first and making sure you're putting that person first, you're going to have much better success. And you're going to really be speaking from your heart as to why you're doing this in the first place. Does that make sense? Okay, so before we wrap up, I know it's really close to 9. I wanted to just kind of quickly go around and see if there was anything specific regarding inviting your Success Club or a struggle that you're running into that you want to go over one-on-one / on this call and kind of tackle it together. Go for it, Destiny.
Okay. So being a new coach, do you have like any recommendations to re-invite somebody that maybe it didn't go so well the first time?
Yeah.
Like a follow-up, how long should you wait, and kind of how should you approach that?
So it totally depends, I would assume, on the response and the engagement. But this is something that I actually did myself, and I had the same question for my coach a few years ago, where it all comes down to being really honest and transparent. So like I said, my invites in the beginning, looking back at them now, I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I never did that. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly how I approached it. So I went up to many people and I said, hey, I just reread our message from XYZ, and I have to admit, I really wish I didn't approach you that way. I was very new in the business. I wasn't exactly sure what I was doing. This is how I feel now. This is what I've got going on. I would love to give you some more information if you're interested, but if you're not, I totally understand that as well. I just hope there's no hard feelings. A total place of honesty and a little vulnerability. And, some people were great and responded, hey, you know what? I am interested now, or I see you've stuck with this and this is something I want to do. And some people were like, you know what? I appreciate that, but it's not for me. So are you willing to kind of go over what the conversation was, or you don't want to?
I don't have like a specific example necessarily. I was just curious, kind of in general.
That would be my advice if the invite didn't go well. Mm-hmm. If it was more of someone said no because of the cost or they weren't ready, it would be maybe a different follow-up. So it kind of, again, depends on what that conversation was.
Right.
For another form of a follow-up, especially with a price or a time objective, would be to kind of reach back out and say, hey, I know when we spoke back in May, the timing wasn't right, but I've got this new group going on. There's a free info group open so you can actually get a sample of what you get for your money. I'd love to have you check it out if you're interested. If it's still not a good time, no problem. Does that help?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. And then with stuff like that too, if you ever get a response that you're not sure how to handle, you can go ahead and actually put that in the team page and get a good idea of how multiple people would respond to kind of help you piece together how you would like to respond. Leah, you looked like you had something.
I was just going to say that something that I realized like subconsciously wasn't working for me, but now I realized it and like I'm gonna work on it, was like just making assumptions about challengers that I have. And like I had one person sign up June 4th, and then I didn't really hear from her for like 2 weeks. And then she said she was going to restart on Monday, and I didn't really hear from her for another couple of weeks. And finally heard back from her yesterday, and she's like, oh yeah, like I'm doing Country Heat and 3-week yoga retreat, and I love it. And I was like, oh, okay, that's great. Like, do you need help? And no, like no questions, no nothing, but I was making the assumption that everything was failing, nothing was working. But no.
I love that you brought that up too, because it's important. So we have these challenge groups, right? But as I'm sure you guys have noticed, whether you're in mine or you're running your own, not everybody participates in a challenge group. And when you can touch base one-on-one, which you should do, at least, I recommend at least weekly, unless someone says, I don't need to hear from you. You can get that kind of feedback. One thing that I saw that Chelsea does, and I'm not sure, I haven't tested it, so I'm not sure if it's working for her or not, but she did share that she was doing it, is when she signs up a new challenger, one of her questions is like, how much coaching do you want? Like, do you want daily accountability in my group? Do you want weekly one-on-one check-ins? Or do you want to do this thing on your own and contact me if and when you need me? So again, I haven't asked her yet how that's going for her, but I thought that that was a really cool idea, because it is true. It's like another form of rejection in a way when we see someone not participating in a challenge group or not answering our emails or our messages when we're just checking on them. But it's never personal, right? Like that was personal proof. It was just her style. She's killing it, which is amazing. So kind of just something to think about and maybe play around with.
But yeah, it was funny though, because like when she signed up, she specifically said she couldn't hold herself accountable for other home workouts. Oh. And like she's not in our challenge group or anything. That's why I was like, okay, like stuff is going wrong. She's gonna hate it. And then no, it was all going great.
That's great. Well, I think it's good that you continue to check in with her too. I love that. We lost Vanessa. She might be back. Anything else? No? All right. Well, I don't have anything else either. No, I don't know why. Like I mean, I've been pretty into my PD this year specifically, but this book was just, it was really good. It's a story. The way some of the things he did were friggin' crazy, and I loved it. But it was just interesting to actually, I've always heard authors or motivational speakers kind of say, like, seek out rejection or go for no. That's a really common saying, especially in our business. And I always understood what it meant, right? Like I always just assumed like, oh, it means talk to as many people as you can or talk to more people. But this kind of just puts it in a different perspective of a different way to view rejection, to use it as a self-improvement tool rather than letting it hinder us and hold us back from doing something at all. So I don't know. I might like reread it. It's already, you can tell, like all messed up from me folding it back and folding pages down and stuff. But I hope that stuff was helpful. It's one of those things you kind of have to just stumble through and get better and better and better as you go. But without the consistency of showing up every day, the improvement doesn't happen. And that's the one thing that I wish was possible to do as your coach, would be to like, oh, my dog is chewing up. Hey, Gus, my dog is chewing up the tube that my morning Meltdown 100 calendar is in. Would be to like talk to you guys every single day one-on-one and be like, okay, how many invites did you send? Or like somehow do that for you. but I can't. And so I want to make sure, I'm like freaking out that he's going to get to it. I'm going to wrap up. I want to make sure that you guys understand the importance of doing that and know that I'm here for you 100%. If you need help or you have questions, you don't need to wait for a team call to ask them. I want to be here to help you with everything that I can. You just have to remember to reach out and ask so that I know you're struggling with something. So just keep me in the loop, keep the team in the loop, stay consistent with the invites. I promise it gets easier. You've just got to get over that hump. One final tip, and we say this a lot too, I know I say it on new coach calls too, you can't have an emotional attachment to the response that people give you. Because there are billions of people in the world that need help with their health and fitness, and only one of you. So we really do come together as a team. Nobody could do this alone, but we can't, we're not going to be able to make an impact if we're not reaching out to people. So don't be emotionally attached to their response. Their rejection is not personal. It just has to do with their timing or their opinion. So just kind of don't allow that to stop you from reaching out to that next person. Okay, cool. So anyone who's not coming to Summit, stay tuned in our team page. I'm going to be sharing all of the really cool new product announcements, new program announcements, all that stuff that is coming up. And we will talk soon. All right, good night, guys. Thank you.
Bye.